Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Today, we are back for our Anya Taylor-Joy Actor Spotlight in anticipation of Furiosa. Today is the 2021 film Last Night in Soho. It was released on October 29th, 2021. It was written by Christy Wilson Cairns and Edgar Wright, directed by Edgar Wright. I am Colton Robertson, and I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And this is an interesting one. This is a really interesting one. It's a very divisive flick. This was not my first viewing of it, but to my understanding, it was yours.
Yep. Yes, it was. Very fresh off. A few hours. I've had some time to think. Not a lot, but man, was it just a really, really, really good movie until the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And man, did it change quite a bit. I guess I thought I knew what ending was coming. I'm like, this is so, maybe I'm like, okay, is it her mom? I guess I'm getting into, the thick of it now, but like, I'm going all sorts of different places. And then this is the ending we actually got was the last thing I was expecting. I don't know. It was out of left field. And it just kind of makes the whole movie different and not as good. But hey, I kind of want to start at least saying everything that I like about it first, because
Well, first we're going to talk about Anya Taylor-Joy, as is the typical way to do these spotlights. She is undoubtedly one of the best parts of this movie. Every time she's on screen, she is absolutely electric. She has one of those introductions into the movie that like feels like she's a star. Like they try to make you feel like she is the it girl, and whenever she enters the frame for the first time, probably 25 minutes in, it's a little bit into the movie.
It's her first dream or first kind of
probably
experience.
Maybe even 30 minutes in, I don't know, but I love her. I love her in this movie. Her physicality and her cockiness and her confidence and what she brings to the table. She's just perfect as Sandy here. How'd you feel about Anya Taylor-Joy?
Yeah, no, you're right. And a thing I didn't realize until after the fact was her singing as well.
Ooh.
Damn. Yeah, I didn't. I just kind of a lot was going on, so I was paying attention just to story elements and if this was actually happening, or just a lot of other things. So I wasn't like even realizing like, oh my God, I'm seeing like what a performance she is putting on right now, having to look the part, play the part, sing the part. Like she's having to do a whole lot here. And then even whenever she sits down and has like what's the line that they, what a beautiful name, or
that's a lovely
name. There it is. Yeah. Like during like that scene, whenever like there are
is fucking incredible.
Yeah. Like sit down times whenever you get to like, just like look in the mirror, and I, like that it was really cool. A lot of really cool psychological thriller that I had no idea was coming, at all. And yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy, like, and also whenever she dies, spoiler, but whenever that, we see that play out, I guess, well, kind of spoiler. It's not. Well, I guess the first time we see her die, young Anya. I guess I don't know. It's very
young
weird
Sandy.
to talk. Very weird to talk about.
Anya.
Doesn't actually die anyway, but the stabbing in the bedroom and like just having to go through all of these different like playthroughs of it, having to be the person who got killed at first, and then the flipping it around and having to play the other side. I don't know. Very. I don't know. I didn't actually value like her part of the movie as much as I should have. I was more focused on Eloise and
for sure. And that's what's interesting is this was my second time I've watched this movie, and even coming into it, I was like, Anya Taylor-Joy is a part of the movie, but like I was like, she's not a huge part of the movie. And then I watched it again and I was like, oh my God, she's one of the best fucking parts of this movie. You know, like I was kind of floored by how prominently good she was anytime she was on screen. You know, I thought that what she brought to the table was just perfect for the role she was playing. You know, she had, when she needed to be sinister there at the end, she did a really, really good job. One of my favorite scenes of hers, and probably my favorite scene in the movie, is the first dance that they do with Jack, Eloise, and Sandy all switching out. That's
when things seem to be okay, you know. It's like the first good night, right? Like the first the first time she falls asleep and then goes, yeah. That's...
No, I loved that sequence. It's the first time she wakes up in the 60s in London, and she, you know, it's when that is a perfect way to introduce us to the wonder of this movie. You know, I appreciate the mystery, the kind of like, what's going on here? How is this possible? I loved the shot where she enters into it, where like she throws the sheet over her and it expands outward. Like, that's super fucking cool. But then just really... one of the more interesting things this movie had to do, there was a little featurette. I got the Blu-ray ahead of watching this, and there was a little featurette after the credits that was like a little bit of a making of. And it was Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie, the lead, playing Eloise, kind of discussing how difficult their job was, because they're like actually, not during the dance. The dance is cut together really strategically, but... like whenever she walks up to a mirror and then they do the same thing. They like set their hands up on the railing and stuff. They're doing that. They're there at the same time. Like, it's a green screen behind Thomasin McKenzie. There isn't an actual reflection there. She's just on the other side, and it's a window, not a mirror.
Shoot. I didn't
when
even...
they're
okay, yeah.
When she's getting her neck kissed and she looks into the mirror and it's Thomasin McKenzie. Thomasin McKenzie is getting kissed by a body double, and they're just looking at each other while they're getting their necks kissed. And so, like, that was one of the interesting things that they were discussing, was like, Anya Taylor-Joy was like, certainly an experience to like get your neck kissed and like stare deeply into someone else's eyes while that's happening,
as if it's you, sort of thing. Yeah,
exactly.
And I think that's partly why I undervalued Anya, like, her role in the movie, is because at one point I'm thinking that Eloise is this is her like escape sort of thing, was the first thought that I had, that this is her going out at night and her like being confident in her own self and kind of throwing all of her
dream self.
Or if it even wasn't real, that this was just a dream at first, and this is like what she wanted out of college, and if she could go back in time, you know, she was born a little bit too late. She likes the older music, everything like that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, maybe she doesn't feel like she's fitting in. So this is just her dreams of confidence, and then it's not that at all.
No.
And I don't know how long it took because like for a long time I was still thinking that like I don't know. Like I didn't really put it all together quite.
This and that's one thing. That's why you text me before you watched it, and we were kind of like, "Is there anything I need to know before watching?" And I'm like, "Yes, but you shouldn't." Like, that's the thing, is that it's a fault of the movie that you can't follow that you can't really track that, and it's not really a fault. You know, it is a mystery. They are trying to linger it there for you, but the mechanics of it still aren't very clear at the end of the movie anyway. The way that I ultimately ended up having to view it, and I didn't want to view it this way, but like it ultimately made the movie better for me my second time around, was that this is not a movie that's really trying to say anything. It seems like a movie that's trying to say something. It's a movie that is seriously psychological horror. It's in the vein of The Shining. It's in, like, I feel like this is Edgar Wright trying to do his own version of it. Like the way that Jack and Danny are affected by the Overlook Hotel. Eloise and Miss Collins are affected by 8 Googe Place. They're affected by, because they're in this place at this time, that's why it's happening. It's not like this would have happened to Eloise if she was at home. It's because she finds her way there that all of this unfolds. You know, it's, and because she can tap into this, you know, you think it's just like grief at the beginning. You think it's just she sees her mom and it's sad and that's kind of it. But then the end shows you that's very clearly not what that is. It's clear that she has access to, she's basically a medium. She can see the dead. She can commune with the past. It's a bizarre one.
So is it implied that her mother, like her
also
mother
had this going on?
Went
yes.
there, but she just couldn't take it and actually, like,
I'm assuming
she
there
actually
is
committed suicide
there.
or was murdered, like, and covered up. You know?
My money is that she actually committed suicide. Now, I don't know
what was about to happen to Eloise was going to be played as a suicide. You know, like that was
true.
The
That's
point
true.
is that, like,
yeah.
you were going to anyways. Everyone thought you were crazy, you know, and like your mother had signs of it. I don't know, and like, oh my god.
Yeah, so
okay.
I took it as Eloise's mom also had this going on. Now, it might not have been specifically 8 Googe Place. You know, it might not, like, maybe they're like Miss Collins says, "This is London, honey." It's my favorite line of the movie. It's London, honey. Somebody has died in every building and on every corner in the city. So, like, if a place is haunted, if a place has, if your soul never leaves this place, you know, like, it could have been anywhere, you know,
dude,
because it doesn't only happen to her at 8 Googe Place, as we see. It happens at the library, and it and, you know, maybe something had happened at the library that kind of gave her that. So, like, it's an interest, like, it's a very interesting idea, and it is a much better movie to watch when you know what's happening. It doesn't make the ending any better. The ending's still lackluster because in a movie that is just so thoroughly about believing women, essentially, you know, like, we have the cop who's like, I believe you, honey. If there's anything I can do, I'm going to do my best. But it's hard when we don't have a name. It's hard when we don't have any of this. So I'm going to try and get on it. And Eloise and Sandy, Eloise forms this admiration for Sandy and this need to protect Sandy. You know, she, like, breaks through the fucking glass when she's talking to that cop and tries to hug her. That's when she wakes up, you know, like, so it's, like, abundantly clear that Eloise would never knowingly betray Sandy, which makes the ending for me, like, I'm okay with Miss Collins being Sandy. I like that. I think that, like, there was going to be someone we knew was Sandy. You know, like, that was known. I was like, I didn't know if it was going to be her grandma. That was more what I was thinking. You were thinking her mom. I was thinking her grandma.
A timeline, it makes more sense to be another generation removed.
Yes,
but I wasn't thinking of that. But
right, yeah, no, but so I was like, it might be, like, the first time I watched it, I'm like, it might be her grandma. That could be interesting if they're connected this way through the generations. But so, like, I'm okay with Miss Collins being Sandy. That I have no issue with. And I also have no issue with her murdering all those guys. That's cool.
Even better. You know,
even better.
Like that.
Dope.
Yeah, cool.
What I do take issue with is vilifying her to the degree that they do, and her killing or trying to kill John, trying to kill Eloise, and then getting up into that room when you realize, like, all along, all these dudes ever wanted was help. They just wanted to be set free.
No, why'd they come in there in the first place? Why were they there? It took the worst turn, like the worst turn possible. Because you're right, like, it was a feel good, like, woman, like, every time, like, and I'm usually one to be like, man, I hate movies where every guy is shitty. But in this one, it kind of needed to be
Mm-hmm.
that way. Like that's the point, like of the life that they're in. But like when they went to the police station and like, oh well, he drinks at the whatever bar, so that narrows it down to all of London.
Me, you, and everyone
Yeah,
else
and
in the city. Yeah.
and so she's feeling alone, alone, alone. The only people who are there to help her are women. I guess you got what's his name?
John.
Yeah, John's cool. John's fucking a real one. So I guess
And that's like, I shouldn't come away from this movie with my favorite character being John. It's not that type of movie. My favorite character shouldn't be John, but he is my favorite character. There's never there's never a point when I think he handles a situation poorly. He doesn't ever like betray Ellie. He tries and tries and tries, and whenever after the whole night when she sees Sandy gets stabbed and he's standing there and he's like, what's going on? Miss Collins comes up the stairs, is like, you better get out. That whole thing. The next day she has a freak out in class and he's like, talk to me, like I'm here for you, like I want to help you, and it, so that's the thing, is that this shouldn't be a movie where my favorite character ends up being the dude, the one good guy in the film. My favorite character should be Sandy. It should be Miss Collins. But the choices she makes I think so, yes.
Not Eloise. I think Eloise is like...
I mean, don't get me wrong. Eloise should be the character of the film, but everything just happens to her. She never gets a chance to... There's like no reclamation of her power.
Yeah, that's kind of just true. I guess like I was more focused on like the beginning of her just like having that college experience and like having like just getting bullied by her roommate. Like her roommate I thought her roommate was gonna be like the worst part of this movie, or like the part I hated
fucking
the most.
Sucks.
God, I mean she does. Yeah, she does still suck. And who knows? Maybe she did slip in a little extra in that drink there for them. I think that for sure. Like
seems implied. Yeah.
Have fun, love birds. A little bit of fun juice in there. But I don't. I guess I was trying to think of like just if there's anything more that I haven't quite thought of yet. But there was one line. She broke, like the mirror was broke that night, and she's like, "Oh, I'll pay for the mirror, I swear." But then I get Olenna is like it's so hard not to call her Olenna, like
right,
just here. But like she's like, "Oh, we all break a mirror or two in our life," or something like that. And like in the I don't know, whenever she killed Jack, did like wasn't a mirror broken in that, like, because I guess like the ceiling like the whole room, right, used to be like mirrors, like everything, right? Or like whatever.
And that's that's also unclear. It's like, did the room used to be covered in mirrors, or is this kind of
that's
like
the only way we can visualize it?
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Like I'm like that could also be the case. I do think they're being for real about their use. I do think there used to be a mirror on the ceiling. I think that's a given. But and that's the other thing too, is that like or is that just the way Eloise can see these things?
Mm-hmm.
Is that how it's like a mirror dimension almost that's taking her back in time so she can see?
Because I don't think it's just the room, because in the library she has the guys come haunt her. Mm-hmm. And out in the street she sees
the club,
it.
Yeah.
And like even Gran back at home, is like, hey, like I guess Gran said that her mom didn't have the gift like Eloise does. I think at the beginning. I think something like that said like that your mom did not
she
have
didn't
the
have
gift.
your gift.
So like
it's like, does Gran know more than she's letting on a little bit?
Maybe that's maybe just like a confidence boost of like, I know what you're getting into. Like it's like maybe she was also in that room at one point, and it's just like she went there, Gran went there, her mom went there. She knows Eloise is going to end up there too. It's just this repeating cycle, and she's trying to like not, be like, yeah, no, your mom didn't have the gift, because like if she was told, hey, your mom did have the gift, she went to London, she did not come back, then Eloise is in the same situation. She has the gift.
Mm-hmm.
She could then think
Well,
like, oh, well, I see why my mom did what she did, sort of thing. But
I think when it came to the gift, I think she means it much more generally. I think it is just sort of I don't think Grand's in on anything.
I
I
don't
think that
know. She did say like the way you see the world, the way you see things, the way you experience things. Your mother did not have that like you, like the vision. I think she like, man, I didn't think about that conversation much until now. But like a second viewing would help a whole lot, knowing what happens and just putting the lens of the psychological thriller on and
mm-hmm.
making that the important part, because that.
Well, I think that one of the other really important things in this movie is that, like, only on my second viewing do I view it as her being a paranormal medium. The first time, I think she is mentally ill because that is what the movie thinks. So that's what I think Gran thinks. Like, you might be dealing with the same things that your mother dealt with, but she didn't have the gift of the way you see the world, like the positivity you possess, the light you have within you. I think that's kind of the way that I took Gran's comments.
That is how I viewed it off first viewing. Only now am I thinking of it this way, but that is how I took it.
Like that. It has to be the way you view the movie on the first watch, because like even when she's on the phone with her Gran while she's down in London, Gran goes, "Are you seeing your mom again?" She asks her like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she says it like very tentatively, like, "Are you seeing her again? Like, is it so?" And I think if it was something larger than that,
seeing your mom though, seeing the dead,
Well, yeah, because that means she's been clear with her Gran about her issues, and that she sees her mom.
I guess that one makes a lot more sense, even if. Just seeing that's just sad.
Yeah, I mean, like, your mom passes away. Jocasta being like, well, I guess it's easier when you're 7. Fuck you. What?
Yeah, and like throwing her under the bus and like having her just to say that, like oh, we're in the dead mom group, whatever, and like just having her to basically tell her story, like,
and then later judging her for being like, what an attention whore, like she needed to tell everyone, but immediately after she says her mom killed herself, she goes, yeah, I had a great uncle who committed suicide, so I know what it's like.
Man, did she do anything good in the movie?
No, there wasn't a single.
She drugged them. She just smoked in the dorm, took the smoke alarm out.
She was the hater. She was the hater of the century. She was fucking terrible.
Remove your last name completely, when she got there. It's cleaner. It's, to go by just your Christian name. Yeah, that was, man, that's... I don't know what do I hate
Jocasta
more? Do I hate Jocasta or the ending of the movie more? I think the ending of the movie.
The ending of the movie affects the quality of the movie a lot more than Jocasta's character.
Yeah, like that is what Jocasta's character is supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm,
that is, and for that, whoever the actress is, good
she
job.
She does a great job.
Yeah, you did. She
does a fantastic.
You
job.
did it, but man, it's like a Joffrey situation where like if I saw them in real life, I for some reason would feel like I hate them, but they're probably cool. I don't know.
Probably fine, yeah.
But it's the end of the movie, like, because I was thinking, oh my God, what a beautiful message they are gonna send here, because it felt like it was gonna be like a Hollywood, very meta, like this is how you have to make it in Hollywood. She's gonna break the system somehow, I don't know, and stick it to these guys and make it on her own, and she does make it. She has a fashion show and like she's doing good things now, but it doesn't really feel like she won over the system part. Like, I don't know, it was just like it didn't feel like that was the result of it.
And there's also the different angle where she's not even in the same...
Yeah, I guess she's not, because...
She's in fashion. She's not in...
Oh, I guess true.
Entertainment. So it's like... So that's the thing that I think becomes lackluster about this movie, is that it's... Eloise is supposed to just be a sympathetic bystander. Someone who wants to help and can't, I think, is kind of ultimately what they're going for with Eloise, which I think it works in a way that's like she's kind of a passenger in her own life at this point. She doesn't have control over her narrative. She can't control Sandy. She's trying her best to help, but she can't. There's no way to access her. She doesn't know she's there. It's interesting to see when that shifts. There's a point whenever she's watching Sandy on the bed with a dude, and she like reaches out to the dude and grabs him and is like, no, and he like looks straight at her, and then she wakes up. It's after that all the dude's spirits can like follow her around, which is also interesting. It's after that they start to follow her around. I don't know if that's why they can, but it seemed like nobody in that world could see her until that moment. Which is interesting. Like, so that's the thing, is that this movie is chock full of really interesting paranormal, just ghoulish ideas, and I really, really appreciate that side of it.
But having them say help at the end, like having that, like,
and I think the way that I'm trying to look at it is ultimately, and like, I think this is a serious dose of copium here. I think that it's just like, ultimately they beg for help. I think they could be going for a too little too late thing. Like, you didn't realize how shitty you were in life. You don't deserve my help in death. She chooses not to help them. She doesn't try to kill Miss Collins. She doesn't try to do that.
Guess that's a good distinction. Miss Collins and Sandy. There.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
The good way to refer to them, not Olenna.
She doesn't try to kill Miss Collins, which, if she did, would have been like, she's fully gone on the side of the dude she murdered, which I think it's a good thing she doesn't, of course.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's that the movie is even allowing them to ask for help in the first place. Like, even giving them that chance. Like, they should just be haunting ghoul. They should just be, I don't know, demonic soul, whatever they represent, just the whole time. That's all they should kind of be. I feel like, and I guess now that I'm thinking of it, back in that time, Jack was trying to set her up with one guy that would get her involved, and then like, hey, this is how it's done, and she said no to it at first, but then so that was definitely like a, hey, let's get you in, do this, and you'll have success. But was afterwards, whenever she was actually getting with all these guys, is it implied that each one of them is coming with a role or a show, or is it just because she was wanting to have fun and go crazy for a bit?
She's getting pimped.
Okay, so yeah, so
Jack is, and I don't think it's for roles. I think that
so not even on the stage, like not even like in the shows that happened there. It is just purely Jack is a pimp.
Like, I think Jack is also a talent agent. I think he is. I think that's something they're definitely going for. But I think that they're showing that she loses less and less. She loses control over what she's capable of and what she does. I think that the relationship that this film has to music is really interesting. I mean, obviously, when it comes to Eloise and her affinity for the '60s music and all that, but Sandy's relationship to the music is even more interesting. She starts her part in the movie by taking control. She does the dancing. She dances to the song she wants. She sings the song she wants. She books the gig. She's backup dancing and I think, I can't remember the name of the song, but the song is like the puppet show or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The
wind up dolls. She was
Yes,
literally a wind up doll.
She's pre-programmed. She's and she starts to lose her zest. She starts to lose her passion. She turns to drugs and alcohol. It makes her more susceptible to Jack being like, go home with this guy, go home with this guy, go home with this guy. That's a lovely name. Okay. And Miss Collins even explains it later as like, I died 1,000 times, and I think that that's really indicative of the time whenever they go, what's your name? And she goes, Sandy. That's a lovely name. What's your name? Alexandra. That's a lovely name. What's your name? Alex. That's a lovely name. She keeps changing her answer to that question, which I think is a really key indication that she is slowly falling away from who she was at the start.
So
of
I guess
this,
when did the killing
sequence.
start? When?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. I got to imagine Jack would have been. Was Jack the first? Was Jack the last? When does Jack get killed? Because if
Jack the Ripper, but it's the inverse. Instead of the women disappearing and dying,
it's the dude.
I guess those bodies turned up though. That's a different. These are just. She buried him in the in the walls and in the floorboards.
Floorboards and the walls. Yeah.
What the fuck, dude? Yeah, like London. She's kind. I mean, you're lying. Like, it might be true. Like that. It's just been around for so long. Like
London's
so much shit has
happened
there.
Old fucking city.
Like, yeah, that's. I don't like the paranormal. Kind of is a thing that is. Who the fuck knows? Right. Who knows? Like, there's no science to it. You know, it is all. Who knows? And it feels like it is a thing that is different for everybody, you know, and that it kind of would be something like that where some people have the gift or whatever and connected to certain things. And I don't know, viewing this as that now could make it a little better, but man, I guess
it kind of does enough for me to offset the way the ending of this movie recontextualizes the messaging of the film. Because you do, like, I kind of go through this whole movie thinking, the first time, again, that it's psychological, that it is purely a mental thing on Eloise's part. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, you know, I mean, obviously there's a part of it that's true. John can't see it, but I think it is because it's a paranormal thing, you know. But it's just when Miss Collins tries to kill Eloise, I feel like it undercuts everything the movie had been setting up to that point about solidarity, about, like, Eloise wanted to look out. Solidarity! She wanted to look out for Sandy. She wanted to help her. And if there was a way for Miss Collins to know this was happening to Eloise, if there was some sort of bond they could have formed, maybe there would be...
Oh...
a connection that she wouldn't have to do that. But there's still the fact that, like, I don't even know what you need to change about this movie in order for it to end really, really well. You know, I think that if she goes into the apartment ready to leave, is like, I need to get out of here, you know, it's been a ride, but it's been awful. I gotta go, you know. And Sandy sits her down and has that whole conversation with her, and is like, just trusts her, you know, like, I won't tell anybody, I promise. She's like, I know you won't. She doesn't even try to kill her. I think that would be grand. I think that, like, because I can even take a. I don't like the being upstairs and the dude's going like, help me, please kill her. I don't like that. I don't like that even happened. But there is a way for me to wiggle my way around it and it still stay on theme. Like I said earlier, with she chooses not to kill Miss Collins. She does choose to stick with her despite this. So I can't come up with something thematically that makes sense for why Miss Collins would try to kill Eloise beyond it being like, it's just realistic. It's what a killer would do. This is where we're getting realistic, you know? That this is where we're deciding it needs to be grounded.
On my first watch, I thought all of these men that she's getting with are to, like, further her career. Like, and I guess it is her career at this point. Like, that's what she's being forced to do. But I thought that it was, like, because she was leading the shows. Like, right, that first dream, she was the main act. And I guess that's what, or is that how Jack noticed her in the first place? is that
she was not the main act. She's
first
trying to
time?
make it.
She just kind of shows up.
She shows up and is like, I'm the next. I think it's Scylla. Shit, I can't remember her name.
So does Jack just approach her? They just kind of lock eyes and see each other there. They're just she approaches him at the bar. He's like, who are you? And she's like, well, I'm the next up, basically. And he's like, oh, would you care to prove it? And she's like, would you like to dance? And they get out on the dance floor. Okay. So
then he gets her an audition, and she sings downtown. It's really fucking good.
That's why I kind of thought that there was a connection there, that like you have to get with this guy to get this show, sort of thing. And
I do think that's how it starts.
Okay.
The thing that is unclear also is if Jack is the first. Like, Jack has to be the first guy she kills, which means she is seeking men out to kill later on.
Oh, wait, that's kind of weird. It's not,
because if dudes go up with the girl that he's pimping out and never come back, I gotta guess eventually Jack would put 2 and 2 together. And
maybe that's why she had to kill him. I don't know.
I guess it could be.
Why is he trying to kill her in the first? Why is he so mad because she was saying that she was going to stop? Is that what, like, why was he ready to kill her?
That's the thing, is that, like, I think there's a nonsensical nature to his possessiveness over her anyway. So I think that there was a degree of like, I'm done. No, you're not. You do this for me until you die, basically.
Yeah, that's what he was screaming at her. Like, you're mine. This is what you have to do.
This is what you wanted. Yeah.
So so I guess she was. So she was threatening to stop. I guess that's kind of the only thing that made like a motive to kill. To be like, to get him to want to kill her, because if she's still doing her thing and getting with dudes, she's not gonna. I don't know. Yeah. And maybe they just don't care about him putting the 2 and 2 together. That, like...
Yeah, I'm like, that's the thing, is that, like, this movie has so many holes to poke that are actually pretty important, that it does end up making the story a little, very lackluster, actually.
Man, was I thinking that this was like a slam dunk on Hollywood, in that it was going to be like this is how people have to make it in the entertainment industry, and we're going to shut it down from the inside out, sort of thing.
Subvert that expectation.
Not at all, and so I thought that was going to be part of the ending. So that was more of the reason why I hated the guys being like, help, help, help. So, like, I mean, if these are just dudes that were in a club and got with the pretty girl, I mean, they still suck. I mean, they all use the same pickup line. It's kind of implied that, like, all of these dudes...
the same.
They know what they're getting into. No, like, this is like a sex trading business. Like, these are not random passerbys on the street that are coming into this club for the first time and then walking out with her. So I don't know. All these dudes are pretty shitty anyway. So maybe I am still not okay with it. Like, I feel like they should have clarified those things, though. If this is where the movie's going to go and it's going to take this turn, like, those things do seem pretty important to know. When the killing started, why, like, their dynamic, I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading it wrong. Like,
then what about the cop? Old man, whatever the fuck.
Why act so sleazy at first, man? Like, why? For the movie, I get it, but like that last, when he's in the basement, like, I don't know. Dude was not delivering the lines that he was saying as if he was innocent. He was like making himself seem very guilty. Like,
right.
The whole time.
And then, like, the fact that nobody else ever, like, whenever he does get hit by the car, the main barkeep goes like, oh no, him, he used to be a cop, he was a great man, da 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 da. And it's like, what? Nobody wanted to say that earlier. Like, I mean, I get it, it's a movie, and these are the way things have to play out sometimes. But like, even with that cop when he sat down with Sandy and he's like, yeah, everybody knew Sandy. Do you think he knew she was killing dudes?
Oh.
And that's why he's going, you're better than this, Sandy. You know, like, you don't have to keep doing this, you know?
The guy, yeah, because he did sit down with her, and he was the one to say, like, oh.
That was one of the interesting thoughts I had. It was like, what if he knew what Sandy was up to and just never...
That's why he sat down with her. Was like, hey, I know what you're doing.
Because why else would a cop come and sit down with Sandy?
He's been on her for a while. He notices these bodies are going missing. He sits down. He's like, hey, I get what you're doing. I'm okay with it. You know, you're getting rid of the right people, but like, hey.
I mean, clearly he's okay with it. Miss Collins still lives in that building, and he's still around. If he knew that Sandy was up to shit... Like, so that's one of those interesting things where I'm like, there's just so much... This movie's so... It's disjointed, and I enjoy it. I do have a good time watching it. Ultimately, the movie, I mean, the end does put a damper on it, but the aesthetics are really strong. I do love the soundtrack. I think it's well shot. I think it's really well performed. That old man's played by Terrence Stamp, who was
he did look kind of
Styx
familiar.
and Daredevil.
Okay, I was like, it's familiar, but nothing like huge, and that's perfect.
In the movies, not the show. And like Elektra.
Yes, Elektra. Yeah. The one. Okay, it was one of my favorite.
He's
shots
also
in
Chancellor. He's also Chancellor Valorum in The Phantom Menace, and he's Zod in Superman 2. So big time in our Marvel, Star Wars stuff. But yeah, Terrence Stamp, very talented actor. Diana Rigg, of course. I love Diana Rigg, and obviously we know her as Olenna Tyrell here on the podcast, and it was so cool to see Anya Taylor-Joy play a young version of her.
Whoa. Like, yeah. I mean, you sent me the pictures of just, like, a young Diana Rigg.
She looks like young Diana Rigg.
I don't know, kind of worked, but I liked it just to, like, a young Olenna feels like this confident, you know, young, like the character that was being put on it. It just felt right, and it was nice. And
this was actually the last performance of Diana Rigg. She passed away after this movie, and it was dedicated to her memory. So this was the last thing she was ever in.
Damn. Well, at least she went out murdering crummy dudes,
fucked up dudes,
and hiding them in the floorboards. You know, could have not tried to kill Eloise. That would have made you a lot better.
Could have not killed John.
Yeah.
Or tried to kill John. It's just that, like, wait, what are we doing? You know, like, I was with her whole thing, and now she's trying to kill Eloise, now she's trying to kill John, and...
Man.
I mean, like, even John, I, like, get... I'm like, I don't want it, but, like, she told her she was here alone. A dude shows up after 8. She's got obviously terrible history with men. But like, you don't need to do all this, man. You don't need to do all this. Like, it's just, it's so lackluster and so disjointed story-wise that ultimately the writing ends up being the worst thing about the movie.
In mystery, like, you want to leave some things up to the mystery and all, but like some things are important enough to, you need to clarify. Like, there needs to be a balance there. And because, like, I do get it. It's psychological thriller and it's paranormal. Not everything is going to be explained or is going to be logical. But those parts that are illogical, or honestly, the paranormal stuff makes more logical sense than, like, I don't know.
Some of the real life character choices.
Yeah, like whenever you said she's reached out and grabbed one of them, and then they can follow her. It's almost, that seems logical. And like the red lights, whenever she's in like a club or the party with John, and then the lights go red, is whenever she starts to see all of the dudes and everything. And I thought that was a really, I don't know, just cool, because like her bedroom lights up that way, and it feels kind of like the initial,
trigger.
Like a wake. Yeah. And I don't know, I thought that was really cool. So the paranormal stuff made sense, honestly, which is weird to say, but then, some character stuff just kind of didn't really, it's not like it didn't make sense. It just was not the way I thought they were going to go.
Yeah, I mean, like, because I think that this movie does a little too much with the idea of killing bad. Yeah, killing bad. I get that. But, like, you don't need to vilify this woman to the degree they're vilifying her, you know? And I do think that I appreciate the way she goes out. Like, it is like, it's not even the last 10 minutes. It's like a 4-minute stretch within the last 10 minutes that makes the movie bad, because it's right after she reveals she's Sandy, and whenever Eloise drops her tea, and I love that overhead shot of the tea in her hand when she looks down. That was a great shot.
Love those. Love that moment in a movie. I don't know, just like the realization. Oh yeah, fuck, and but
she drops it, and then like they're on. That's when the movie, not they're on there for like another 4 or 5 minutes. It gets bad again when she's trying to kill her. But then even when it is bad, I appreciate the like trippy, weird thing they're doing where it's like young Sandy walking up the stairs and singing to her and slashing the knife and like
the horror.
So like. Yes, it's good.
Creative.
Like, and that's what's
very cool.
Exactly. And that's what's so conflicting about this movie, is that there's so much about it that I think is extremely strong. And then it is just these terrible choices within these couple minutes that ripple out and affect so much more of the movie narratively and thematically. Because ultimately we were dealing with a movie that felt like it was building up to something, a declaration, a statement, something it wanted to make clear. And then it's like, actually, no. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just... I mean, and you like you said it earlier, like, I'm okay with her being evil. I'm okay with her killing these guys. It's okay, but don't... Like, I guess she was telling the cops, so the cops know, and like... She can't have it be known, so maybe like she's still doing it. I think maybe that like she's smoking cigarettes again. So like maybe she's about to be like, well, I'm starting business back up. Maybe that was the idea. Like with John, how he got out, she did say like, I'll kill him next time. Like I should have killed him or something like that. Like
she said I would have killed him if I got my hands on him.
Yeah. So I don't know if that means that she's still doing it.
Well, and that's the thing, is that if they're buried beneath the floorboards and the fucking walls, like there's just so many fucking bodies there. Like that's
why it's a hot spot. I feel like it's they're literally there. They're still there.
It's a that's a paranormal fucking Bluetooth. Yeah, that's a hot spot right there.
5G, but high speed.
Yeah. But like, I don't know what this movie needs to make it different. Maybe it needs an additional bit of the movie where the cops figure out Miss Collins was doing this, and they're coming to her place shortly after Eloise arrives, and she's like, I'm not going out. I'm not going to prison. And she goes, get your stuff, get out, and lights the bitch on fire and just stays in that room. Like, I think that would be a good choice. Like, there's...
okay.
And even that would be better. It would maintain the solidarity Eloise and her had formed. It would maintain that she's an anti-hero, essentially. She's done what she feels she needs to do. She doesn't regret it. She's going to stand on business, and she's going to go out the way she wants to. And I appreciate that she ultimately does, and again, she eventually does go out the way she wants to, but not until after she's tried to kill two more people who have done nothing but meant well, and every other person she's killed, seemingly and obviously, did not mean well. Like, that's, so that's where I'm like, so it's tough.
The old guy, what was his actual name? Because what she thought it was Jack, but it's not. That's Luis.
It was like Danny.
I could have sworn it seemed kind of female, like Louis. I don't know why Luis. Hansy. They called him Hansy earlier in the movie because he was, I guess, like a creep. I don't know, like one of the guys in the bar knew.
Yeah, he's credited as the silver-haired gentleman.
Yeah. And so if he was, say he doesn't die here, he doesn't step in the road and die. Like, that could have been a really cool part. Like, it kind of just sucks that they made him step into the road and die. Like, right when he got interesting, he delivered no, Alex killed. You'll find that Alex killed, say, or Sandy or whatever, or no, Alex killed Jack. What was he? What did he say there? Actually, you'll find that you think that I killed Sandy. Yeah, no, it was. Am I even saying the right name? Yeah, Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he said you think
Yeah, I think he does
killed
say. I
Sandy?
think you'll find
that Alex killed Sandy. Alex
he does know.
Killed Sandy.
He does know.
She died.
Yes.
Okay, so he definitely was on her side. Maybe he's who was keeping her clean. Maybe like he was the cop that was saying like, oh nope, just another. Don't look into it anymore. It's fine.
Right.
Maybe
it's a missing person.
He was the inside guy, maybe that allowed her to keep going.
But that's a really good point. What does his death serve?
Yeah, because at first you're like, this is Jack. This is the guy who murdered Sandy, and like, yes, we want to see him die now. I mean,
it's just to torture Eloise a little more.
It's like and it's another flip of another man who is made to seem terrible the whole time. I wanted this dude to die the whole time because I thought he was Jack. Yeah. I'm like, I can't wait to see how this dude dies. But then when he dies, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, really? Like, I now I don't want. Right when you got interesting, the second you actually like, I don't actually hate you now. Like, who knows? Maybe he did some fuck shit. Maybe I don't know. They are in it together. But like, I mean, it's. These last second switches of, I don't know, very big and for what? I don't know.
Movies like this are proof that the mystery genre is intensely hard to pull off. Like it's difficult to get this shit right. And I think that the mystery itself isn't bad. I think that the mystery, like the twist, is good. It's just how you handle that twist was wrong. And I think that the movie suffers for it. Yeah. The movie suffers for it big time. And I think that, like, again, because I like the end. I like that Miss Collins, like the very end. I like that Miss Collins goes out on her own terms. I like that we get that flash of Anya Taylor-Joy kind of mirroring the opening shot of the movie where she, like, enters frame and she's in her dress and it's, like, silhouetted by a dark door. And then we see her with flames around, framed by a dark door. Like, I think that that's a cool bookend to the movie. I don't love the couple minutes before, and then I like the epilogue. I like that little extra bit. I like that they make it clear that this is still a part of her and that Sandy will stick with her and that they're down, like Eloise, like they do the little mirror touch and they tap it and like that's cool. So like it's just so all over the place in those last couple minutes. And if it really could have just been a little more thematically sound, we'd be looking at one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, it's crazy how much those couple minutes take it from being one of my favorites ever to just another movie that I like a lot.
I was riding so high. It was clear, like, Emma. Like, I didn't even have any doubts. I'm like, this is the best movie of Anya Taylor Spotlight so far. Like, I'm liking it more. I'm more into, like, I'm into it. Not now. Like, no, I'll take Emma. I'm taking Emma. Any day now. Like, that's actually good from end to end. And comfort and good. Not well, horror. That's we're in a whole different genre
like,
here.
This is a scary movie that I will be watching. I like it enough to revisit, which is saying more than a lot of other movies, like it's just got a major flaw within the last couple minutes. But I think you'll find that if you rewatch it through the lens of knowing it's not trying to say anything, we are just in a paranormal situation. It does make the movie better. You start to understand Sandy as a murderer. It's different, And I did watch this like a year and a half ago. I watched this in like October 2022 was the first time I watched it.
That'd be a perfect month.
September.
Did this come out?
Yes. Yes, it did. October 29th,
Yeah,
2021, I believe is when it came out. But I was watching it last night, and I was like, for some reason, what I could remember about John is that he was like bleeding from his stomach. Like, I was like, when does this guy get fucking stabbed or shot or something? I can't remember specifically. And then it happens, and I'm like, God damn it!
It's so
pointless.
I'm like, it's like,
yeah.
Well, it makes sense, I guess, but it's like, God.
Well, and then they get to the top of the stairs, and she's like, "Save yourself, save the boy," and it's like, what?
So you really had that moment of realization right then and there, you know?
She walks in and sees all the demons and is like, "Oh my God, I've done horrible things," and it's like, no, it's just
cool shot of her sitting on the bed with the fire and all was one of my potentials. I don't know, just cool, but like, I hated it. I was just like mad in the time, so I was kind of like, "Ugh, man, this looks cool," but like I'm so mad at the movie.
And like that way of going out, it isn't the worst way to go out. I just wish the context of it was different. It's just,
like, hey, I'm not mad. Like, I'm not go save the boy. Oh, look at all these demons in here. It's not. It's like, no, look at all these demons in here. Look at what I did. Like, I'll die with them, maybe. I don't know. And that doesn't really seem right either, but more on that line than it being,
I mean, like, the thing is that, like, she shouldn't have tried to kill Eloise and John. That's where the movie starts. Like, those couple minutes start with that, and that's the worst choice they made. Now, I don't know. It's just,
damn, because the horror,
really lackluster.
The horror, like, as for a Halloween, spooky time movie.
I mean, even when Eloise makes it up the stairs and like they're coming out of the ground and like they're tearing through the bed and like that's cool.
That was nuts. I felt like she was safe when she got in the room, and then like whenever I was like, oh fuck, man. I'm like, damn, it's just getting worse and worse. But even in like the Halloween party, or I don't know if it's a Halloween party, but the party that Eloise and John, well, yeah, I think it is, because they go as a ghost or ghosts or whatever. They paint their face. And then when that horror starts there, like in the library, like every time the horror stuff came up, I thought it was really, really good. I mean, I know this is the Anya Taylor spotlight, and I felt really bad. Now talking about, I mean, her performance, I did undervalue it, but I did go with Thomasin McKenzie, yeah. For Eloise, for both performance and character. I just, more on screen time, I felt like a lot of crazed emotions, but I think a lot of my brain was also melding the two together. Like a lot of Anya's performance was Eloise at one point in my mind. So it was like,
right. Well, and don't get me wrong, I think Thomasin McKenzie does a fantastic job leading this film. I think that she does a really, really standout job at reacting. That's why I couldn't go with her as my character, is because everything just happens to her. There's very little where she's like, and that's not a fault of the performer. The performer does a fantastic job at dealing with that. But the narrative itself, I feel like, in a story about the victimization of this woman and reclaiming her agency, like, Eloise doesn't get that moment. She doesn't get to reclaim her agency. She just gets past all of this and then lives her life again. And like that's fine if that's the movie if that's what it feels like from the get-go. It feels like you're trying to say something at the beginning of the movie, and then we come out at the end, and I can't really pinpoint what that would be. And if you are trying to say something, it's undercut by the ending, and it's just like,
I think the only theme I can pull for her is that, like, it's okay to ask for help. Like, that she never did. She was always on her own and everything. And then the second she started asking for help, things were going well. And, like, things were starting to look better. When she finally started talking to John. And, like, at first at the library, like, it was him. And he just whispered and, like, grabbed her shoulder, and it scared the fuck out of her.
Why the fuck would you whisper?
He's like,
we're in a library.
It's like, yeah. But then the other time, who knows who it is, but she thinks it's a demon or some spirit, and actually gets freaked out, but she's calm. She's like, wow, that was quick. Like she expects it to be him at that point, and I guess it.
Well,
it
and
does.
then that's the other thing that I like the library scene a lot, but at what point is that also mental illness coming into play?
She almost kills Jocasta. Is that her name?
She almost kills. She almost stabs Jocasta. She bumps off one of the spirits, and then they cut, and it's a dude standing there. So it's like
it wasn't that. Yeah, it wasn't like her own subconscious being like, "This is Jocasta," and like, I'm like, I'm pissed at her. All of them were just men, and like no one was anyone, and then she was like, "Fuck this," It was like a "fuck this." I am gonna stand for myself.
I loved the moment when John was like, "It's okay," and Jocasta goes, "It is fucking not okay."
Maybe that's the one good.
That's the one good thing she did, because like.
Fair reaction.
Yeah, it's not okay.
Yeah, valid reaction to almost getting
I would
stabbed.
also be fucking mad.
I think
that's
in that moment. I've in my life, I just want to deliver the line of "May thy knife chip and shatter" so bad that that's what I would have to say. And then I'd probably run away after I deliver it. So I say I could do
May
it.
thy knife
but
chip
like,
and shatter.
Goddamn, if I ever find myself in a situation. That's what I hope. I hope I can be calm enough to remember.
You'll have the wherewithal.
Yeah, I hope. But
yeah, no.
Jocasta, the only good thing you said. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, it's just there's just such a fascinating balance of tone at the beginning of the movie, and then it becomes so. One of my other maybe gripes about the movie, and it's nothing crazy. It's a little repetitive. Towards the end of the second act to the beginning of the third act, it's a lot of the same shit. And that's fine. Like it's just kind of more keying you into what's going on in Eloise's head and how terrible this is, and like so it's I don't even have as big a gripe with that as I do the ending. It's just kind of one of those things where I'm like, maybe there's something in there where we could have fixed the ending by making this less repetitive and inserting something that justifies a better ending. I don't know.
The silver-haired man, whoever he is, I feel like that's the answer, and they just killed him. They just ran him over. Like, I feel like he could have been like, yeah, no, she's been doing this for a long time, and like, I've been helping her stay under the books, blah blah blah. And then Eloise is like, no, this is like, even though she's doing right, this is still wrong. Like, we have to stop this. And like, look at like that room, it's torturing people. My mother also killed herself because of this room. Like, if that was I don't know, involved, and then like they shut that down, and then I don't know. Yeah, like, I guess, because in the perfect world, I wouldn't want Miss Collins to kind of go down. I would just
either.
kind of want
Yeah.
it to be like, hey, it's what I've been doing. I'm going to leave. Okay, we get each other. We're gone. Like, I'm not going to kill you. That is really the only thing that sucks, is her trying to kill her. Like, why?
It just doesn't make sense. Thematically, for what Sandy's motives as a killer have been. Sandy explains to her exactly what's happened. And then she goes, I'm going to make sure you don't tell anybody.
Yeah, but the tea has been... That was immediate. That it was in the cards to kill her right off the bat. She's like, "Come in, I'll get the kettle going." Like, so
right.
She was going to kill her off of it.
But why? That, like, it's just I get the whole like you can't tell anybody else, but like,
the silver-haired man. He gave member is like, I know every girl around here, and I know all their problems. Blah blah blah. He gave her the paper, her like drawing and stuff. I know where you live, sort of thing. They're definitely in on it together, dude, like, for sure. And we just didn't get to see see it, but like at least in my head, that's what I think. And
Yeah,
then
and I don't even know that I'm to the point where I'm like they're in on it together, but I'm willing to bet that he's just looked the other way. Maybe
okay,
not
because I could
aided
see.
her, but like just kind of been like, oh, another guy's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Whoop. No, I'm not. That's
But the second Eloise goes to the police, I guess the officer came around. That female officer had a welfare check on Eloise, came to the
mhm.
apartment. It was asking about that. And maybe it was that moment alone that Miss Collins was like, well,
Yeah, that
gotta
is
kill her
it.
now,
Yeah,
So I guess that is it. But, yeah, I guess I forgot about that the cop had a little welfare check. Man, what the fuck is up with the silver haired man then? Like, so much mystery surrounding him to think that he is the killer at first. That's the clear. I mean, at least that's where my head was for sure. I'm like, this is Jack. This is him just old and he's gotten to live his life because he's a
just ends
man
up
that,
being some guy.
yeah, he's a cop too. Like, and also, like what? Like, I need more explanation there.
Yeah,
Like, and
one of those examples where I think they're trying to do a show don't tell thing, but they also don't show.
yeah, and like, is it implied that her mother did the same thing, or that her mother was just mentally ill and committed suicide? Like, his thought that was going to come back around. Gran was on the phone, I don't know, on the phone at one point, but then she had to leave because John was there on the street or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. That never came back around. Just the parts of the story that I thought were like, all right, this is how it ends, just never really came up. Um, yeah, it's just a tough ending, man. Because God, I really was loving it the whole way through. Like,
I was
if
too.
if I stop, like a movie has to have an ending, but if I could stop it 10 minutes early and just forget whatever happened at the end and just whatever, man, it's like a 9 out of 10, like maybe even higher than like a 9 out. Like this was awesome. Like
Well,
I was having a
and it's
good time.
also it's also funny that Eloise ends up staying in London. She keeps going to school.
Where's she living? Did they show that or was it just at a show?
Does she move back into the
I
housing? Like I don't
swear to
know.
God, man.
Yeah. No,
Like
she's yeah, like it's that's so I'm like it, it's fine. It could be a lot better. It could be a lot worse. It could have been intolerable all the way through. So
mm-hmm.
like it'll be an interesting rating to see just how much that weighs in for us. But I don't know, man. You got much else to say on this bad boy? I feel like I've kind of aired it out.
Yeah, I have. I feel like I didn't do it enough justice in the good department, but I feel good in the bad department. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Um,
Well, that's the thing is that the good stuff. We talked about the interesting aspects of the horror, and
True.
it's a good looking movie. Like well, I guess we didn't. I don't think we officially declared favorite shots. Um,
Yeah, and I guess mine were all very fast together. It was that first dream sequence. You mentioned one of them whenever she pulled her blanket over her and then we
mhm.
got enveloped in the world. But right before, whenever the sequence like first happens and the light fills her room at first, and she's just
Yeah,
like kind of standing looking out at the light. And then like, I think maybe there's a mirror in the background as well that like the camera's very static, but she walks into frame. You could see her in the mirror, walks out of frame. I think I don't know, but the light is just flashing, and I don't
hmm
know, it was just very beautiful. And then, but the cool shot was the blanket one. I really liked that. But
yeah,
then it ended up being my favorite scene. So I don't know if I have that covered now because it is like my scene. It's every shot. It's included. So I feel like I want to go something else, but I didn't. I didn't have anything. I don't know. I don't know a specific thing um,
yeah. I don't
from
know.
somewhere
I don't know.
else.
I think it's cool that we have the same scene. It's just obviously the most exciting and enveloping and get you going part of the movie. My favorite shot, one of my favorite shots, just one of my favorite things that directors will do with a camera every once in a while, is a split diopter shot that comes in the middle of this movie. I love it. I love a split diopter. It's when Eloise is sitting at the bar and the barkeep is about to tell her, like, I love you, Ellie. You fit in here perfect. You can't stay here. You can't sleep here. You got to go home. But right, like during that conversation, there's a shot of Eloise sitting at the bar, and the function of a split diopter is her background is blurred, and then the barkeep is in focus and the foreground is blurred, and it's just such a beautiful thing to do with the camera. I just, that separate lens taking up half the screen, fucking awesome. Love it. So that was just cool. It wasn't like a gorgeous shot or anything, but it was a gorgeous shot, but there's prettier shots. My favorite shot is actually like a flash, a quick cut to Anya Taylor-Joy. There's a mirroring shot that is of Matt Smith. We haven't really talked about Matt Smith either. He's very good in this movie. But it's them in that iridescent lighting. I ended up making it the graphic for this episode. The shot of Anya Taylor-Joy there. It's got the purple, pink, blue, green thing going on, black background, gorgeous. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, the club was lit well. The club and that first dream sequence, before I really knew what was going on, and it was that first introduction to all the mystery and everything, and yeah, that's I mean, I even texted you. I'm like, damn, if this isn't my scene, then holy fuck, because if something was better, then we're in for quite the movie. I don't think we quite got it. Little moments that were good. The moments with John, I like. We're always really good. Like her first kind of party, and like they're having fun, like they're running back home, and laughing, in the rain with like he's putting his coat over her and shit. Like it's like it was really cute, and so, but yeah, I feel like the good. Yeah,
there's another really cool, like, obviously VFX shot, but I still absolutely love it, where when the knife is being used, and you can see her eyes pop into it every time she pulls the knife back. I love it. I love that. That was
very
cool.
Good. The horror, creative. Like, it was very unique to this movie. It's not really like universal horror. It was in the views that Eloise had, and the mirrors and reflections seemed to be a big part of it. Which I guess paranormal people, mirrors. You don't want to have a mirror facing you whenever you're sleeping. It's could be. I think that's a thing, right? Isn't that I don't know. I feel like that's a thing, that they're like portals into the other world. And having one on your ceiling, I guess it seemed that room was mirrored up, and that's what, like, the mirror that Miss Collins was referring to. Like, oh, don't worry about the one, honey. Like I've shattered that room. That's why that room doesn't have mirrors anymore. It is very barren.
Just had to tear them down and put people behind the walls.
That's true. There's bodies right there.
There's bodies in the other side of the
wall. Doesn't smell, no smell, no.
It's the other part that I was like,
smell coming.
Sure,
she embalms them. Yeah, she takes all the shit out and mummifies them.
She's like that. So that was one of those things. Like, that's why the choice to kill Eloise, because I can't have you talking to anybody. Like, that's the only logic I can use for that is realism, and it's like, now we're gonna get real. Like, I don't know. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah, it just wasn't necessary at all. Like, it could have been so good. And maybe, I thought that maybe it was even more meta. They were going even higher up. They were like, well, you wanted this ending. Because I thought it was much more on Hollywood and all these guys and stuff that she was having to get through and stuff. And I thought it was going to be this grand takedown. And then I thought, not giving you the ending you wanted, still showing that it's still very much happening in Hollywood today. But it's not clear enough for that to be the case at all. And, like, that's not what they're going for. So I think the point is there, that, like, there are some shitty dudes in Hollywood and the entertainment business that was there. But
I think that this generally gets a point across about how shitty men are to women.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, not even entertainment. Yeah, it doesn't have to be Hollywood.
It's just
narrowing it down there.
No, but I mean, like, it is a movie and stuff, and they're talking about the entertainment industry and how, I mean, like, that was like the launching off point for the Me Too movement back in 2016, 17, 18 was the Weinstein case, and how he was women had to sleep with him in order to book roles and shit like that. So like that's as recent as not 5 years ago now. Shit, I'm 2021 mode. 8 years ago.
8.
Yep, 2016, baby. 8 years ago.
8 years. Oh my god, that's just Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not excited to continue to referring to stuff as like, 10 years, over a decade ago. We were going into high school a decade ago. It's I like the movie. I could like it. I could love this movie if it were different. It's not enough to make me hate this movie though, or but like I said, it's not one that I'm not over the moon for it. And it had that potential, and it flounders it so horribly at the end. So I'm excited to rate it. But before we do that, if you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and early access content. If you're listening to this now, guess what? You could have been listening and watching to this like 3 weeks ago. It's over on Patreon for $1.50 a month. You can support this podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money, and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. So $1.50 a month. Patreon.com/PennyBloomPod. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram and TikTok at PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening, and download. That would help a lot. You can also watch on YouTube. Go ahead and check us out on YouTube. I got a nice little album on display today. This movie was all about the 60s and 60s music and stuff, so I got a 1965 record here. I won't specify. You have to watch it in order to find out. But yeah, 1965 album here on display. Head to YouTube, look up Penny Bloom Podcast. We're there. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And do me one more favor, one little solid. If you made it this far into the episode and you liked what you heard, you were digging it, you feel like, hey, these guys got it. They feel like they get me. Send us to somebody else that you think would get us. If you feel the same way about Last Night in Soho, if you don't feel the same about Last Night in Soho, if you have that one friend who's like, no, it's a perfect movie, you can send this to them and be like, fuck you, look at what these guys think. Not that we're the end all be all or anything, or that we're saying anything you haven't heard before, but we like talking about these things. We have a great passion for it, and we're going to do it no matter how many people are listening. But if you can share us with one more person to listen, I would appreciate it greatly. Just send us one person, one little guy, gal, or NB, anybody. Send them their way. But let's rate this bad boy on a scale of 1 to 10. Enjoyment-wise, this one's going to hurt. Both of them are going to hurt. That's how much the ending affects it.
Yeah. I don't know if it was you that said it. I think it might have been. But an analogy is like, imagine you're eating a candy bar, and then the last bite, you take 8 bites, and then the last bite is literal shit. It's like, sure, the first 7 bites, that was good, and it was great, but that whole experience is very tainted by that last bite. You're not going to remember that candy bar as being very good after that. Yeah. Maybe you can think back on better time. It's like the good exists, but the bad certainly taints it.
So does the ending take you below what we regard as our threshold
for being good,
liking a movie,
which is 7? Is that
7 for both? Yeah, for both enjoyment or critical.
I mean, I'm either right there or below.
Below it, yeah. I think enjoyment-wise, I can give it the benefit of the doubt. I think I can give it that 7. Critically, I can't. It's not that good.
Yeah, enjoyment. I mean, let's see. I mean, a 7. Like, the only things we have below a 7 on the actor's spotlight is Chappie and The Last Airbender. I don't think we're that low.
No, I certainly like this more
That's
than that.
3 and 3, 5.
And I would say I like this about twice as much as I like those movies. You know, like it's
7
we're
might be
looking at
fair.
6, 7, 5 to
Yeah.
7 for me, enjoyment wise, because I do like it, but like it's right there. I can't tell you
Yeah, I think 7 might be my ceiling for kind of everything. Like,
because critically, I think the ending just ripples out and affects the movie a lot more story wise. Now, it does become a debate what you prioritize in a movie. You know, like the aesthetics, the vibe, the visuals were incredible. The costume design is awesome. When you have a movie based on fashion, it's got to be cool. I loved Anya Taylor-Joy's makeup and hair. Absolutely adored that. I thought that the soundtrack, again, absolutely outstanding. That's something Edgar Wright always places a lot of emphasis on. Scott Pilgrim versus the World having literal battles with music, and Shaun of the Dead has some incredible needle drops, and Baby Driver is literally about a dude who drives listening to music. So, like, clearly very, very important to him, and I think it shines in this movie. Incredibly well performed. There's so much going for it. There's so much good. That is just how much does the lackluster storytelling end up affecting it for you, do you think?
I mean, a lot. I don't know. I can appreciate the good, and like I do appreciate the beginning of the movie a lot. But if I ever watch it again, I'm going to like appreciate that first 99% as much as I possibly can until I get to the end. Like, it's going to be like I will know it's forever there. Like, it'll never be able to leave.
Just one of those endings that makes you go, ah. You know, like you're watching it, you're like, fuck. It's not even like, I wasn't even pissed, you know? It's not like I'm watching season 8, episode 5 of Thrones, and I'm like,
no.
God damn, they're ruining it. You know, like, it's just kind of like a, bro, what the fuck? Just kind of, what are we doing? Why do this? Just kind of a cluelessness. And I think that there's enough good to take it north of 6.
Yeah. Oh, I think I'm for enjoyment. I'm north of 6. I think, yeah. Below 6, that's too low. I think. I don't think it damages it that much.
Oh, yeah, I was talking critical.
Oh, so are we like? You're just 7 for sure, like that.
I'm like, I like it. You know,
but not...
I like the movie, and frankly, I would be willing to take this 6.5 or 6.75. Either one of those is okay with me, you know, because I do like it more than middle of the road. So I mean, like I guess that makes the threshold 6 to 7. Whatever you feel is appropriate there, I'm cool with going with.
For like enjoyment, I'm chilling in like the 7, 6, 7, 5. Critically, I'm open to. 6 is feeling right. That's more so. I don't know if a 5 something does it damage it that much.
No,
that seems
I don't think
too
so.
Low.
There's too much that is good about the movie for that to be the case. It's still a solid film. See, but that's the thing, is that like, it's different talking about what you weigh as important in a movie, storytelling versus vibe, aesthetic, all this. Like when you come to a movie like Pulp Fiction, it's like clearly story's not as important as the other things. They didn't mean for story to be as important as the other things. It feels like story was supposed to be the most important part of this movie, or as every bit as important as the other stuff. So like,
especially
critically,
that'll as well.
Yeah,
the mystery,
critically,
the twists,
it'll suffer.
The twists have to work, and the twists they didn't really. I don't know.
What do we give John Wick 3?
John
out of curiosity,
Wick 3 was a 6.5 critically.
I mean,
I mean, they just had fun. It's not like it was like there was any decision that was like, oh my lord, like really? It was just like, they've reached
another
a point.
lackluster storytelling, awesome action, super cool visuals. That's just kind of it, you know. So it's similar footing for me critically. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I stand here. I'd be cool. I'd be cool throwing 6.5s across the board. Maybe just even it all out. Because my other gut was 6.75 enjoyment, 6.25 critical, which ultimately takes you to about 6.5 anyway.
Well, the math's easy there. That is a 6.5 across, overall. If we were to give it that, bump in enjoyment, because I think it does, I think right below the threshold for good is like that kind of seems right for me, like enjoyment wise. Like it is so close to being there, and it really is. It is that one decision that was made at the end that it would make it not even a 7. I mean, it could turn it into an 8-9 like range.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, like this had nine something potential that it flounders.
Yeah, I feel like a 6.75 for enjoyment makes sense. Like it was
Okay.
right there, like because I did love the cost. The music was awesome. The lighting was really cool. It could have been a little visually more interesting at some points, but they did have some pretty cool shots. The mirror,
Well, and
all of
that's
that, I didn't even know that it was kind of legit or like not legit, but like
no, and I think that that's an interesting like even visually, I think there's an interesting contrast between the drabness of modern day London and the vibrancy of 60s London. And I think they're trying to make a point there. So like I do think that there's a purpose there, even if it isn't as visually stimulating as the 60s sequences. That's on purpose, so at least it was well intentioned. And like so even that's a choice I can appreciate.
I guess that's more for the critical.
That is more for the critical side. So like,
maybe a 6.5 kind of makes more sense across the board. Yeah, maybe that is where we've arrived. Because I mean, it would either be just 6.5s across the board, or like a 6.75 and a 6.25. I think, or even a 6.5 critically sounds okay to me still. But I don't know. I'm cool with 6.5s.
I want to be a little harsh on this movie. I don't want to give it the benefit of the doubt.
I mean, for a mystery movie as well, it's kind of what the whole thing, you're leading to the end. Like it's the solving of the mystery. And there are still a lot of things that are unsolved. Like so yeah, it's no Scooby-Doo. We didn't hit Scooby-Doo levels of mystery writing.
Not 10s across the board there. No.
6.5s. Yeah, we're not the same tier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I can get behind the 6.5s.
65%. Yeah, could have been better. It's got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, which seems kind to me, but hey, what do I know?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, wow. Like I see like the mental health part, like it could have been so like that it just wasn't really touched, so there's a lot of just implying you have to do on your own. But like I could see how like young women could see this and be like,
yeah, then
I don't
mean
know,
we were harsher than Rotten Tomatoes too. 75% critics, 90% audience score. Kind of lost there.
I mean, it really like.
I mean, it is
the percentage
is
of
the
movie that
yeah.
is good is that much. Like the percentage of the movie that's good is 90-something%. It is just that 1% or like that 5% of the end that doesn't really do it well. But it does reframe the rest of the movie. It does not keep the thoughts that I had during the movie the same. It completely changes.
Recontextualizes everything I just watched. Like I just think that it falls on its face thematically. It had so much going for it, and then it just face plants before the finish line. And I wish it didn't. But
yeah, I don't know what an equivalent analogy would be, but it's like if at the end of Dune 2, like Jessica, his mom just kills Paul. Like it's like, well, that just didn't fucking make any, like what you've been building to this point, and then Oh, it's almost like she's been wanting to. It'd be really cool if maybe she was looking for a replacement.
It's like if we'd spent like entire seasons of a television show following this one hero who has just like always been good and is just so awesome and is always good, and then she decides to slaughter a fucking city at the end. It's like, wait, what happened there? You know, like
that doesn't sound familiar. I don't even know what you're referring to whatsoever.
That's what's funny is that like my closest comparison in terms of the way I feel as about a story beginning to end, where the very end is just not very good, is Game of Thrones. Like that's
yeah, man. I had a thought of like, what if she realizes she's getting old and she can't do this anymore, so she needs a replacement. She needs to find a new person, and her mom was gonna be the first one. Nope, didn't work. You know, had to kill her. She was gonna rat. But
she was gonna rat.
Eloise, maybe she's like okay, or like she plays along, but then gets her. I don't know. That could have been cool. I'm just trying to think of any other way to end the movie that doesn't give Miss Collins a way of killing Eloise in any way. Like
well, just choosing not to.
That's literally it. It's just like the simplest ending. I don't know. It just
like.
Yep, I've done what I've done. I'm old. If you're gonna rat on me, whatever, I'll die anyways, But like, I'll trust you not to say anything. That could have been it. Like it could have been as simple as that. Here's your deposit. Don't give, or like the mirror.
Could even be like I gave up. Like I gave up. What I started doing was this. Like, don't like. Keep at it. Keep doing your thing. Like something. Just anything.
Like sorry. Like I have put all of this onto you. Like I'm the reason all of your that you hate London. Like it's because of this
that's
room.
The only thing I regret is that it affected you. Not that I regret that I did this. Not that I regret just
man. Wow.
I think they were just trying too hard to focus on Murad. Like yeah, duh, but like it's a movie. Let it go.
Yeah. We're dealing with the paranormal. I don't know. Like killing's bad, but like you made it so clear that these dudes are bad too. Like you're making it clear. Like it's like a Tarantino. If you're gonna kill someone, you make them just the worst human ever first. It's like that's kind of what they're doing. They're making them bad. It's like justified in the killing. Whenever I found out that she's killing all these people, I'm like, oh,
cool. Yeah,
Man, what a disappointment, because this could have really been something good. Like this, it was so close. Like it was right there.
I know, and I know you were watching with like 10 minutes left. Like, what the fuck does Colton not like about this movie?
I'm like, did I miss something? I'm like, I have to be reading it wrong. And then like, no, I think it was just no and all.
You went what?
Yeah.
No. And I was like, yep, you found it. And like, that's why I wasn't specifying. I was like, I can't tell you the end sucks. I can't be like, well, be prepared. The ending's really bad. Like I have to be vague about it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No. So, hey, at a 65, that's still above average. That's still above middle of the road. That's still solid. I would describe that as solid. Not good, but solid.
It's half a point away from being good. It's just it's getting there, and yeah, they needed to make some other decisions to get there, but they didn't. They didn't quite.
Hey man, here we are. But 65% for Last Night in Soho, and with that, we will conclude this episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast, and we will be back next week to continue our actor spotlight for Anya Taylor-Joy next Wednesday with The Menu, another mixed review film, if I can say so myself. One that I have seen before as well. I enjoy it. It'll be an interesting discussion. My take for me, Emma's still top tier. Emma's still top one.
It's gonna be hard to beat that. Yeah, we started off Dev slow and worked our way up, we really started Anya Taylor hot. We were
just top of the fucking top of the pops, baby. Yeah, like it was so perfect. I loved Emma, and I think that what's coming next week, we're gonna go peak, bottom, middle. Little. I like the menu. It's. I'll tell you what I think you should go into it thinking before. Like that one, I'm more comfortable telling you what I think ahead of it, because the twists they're fine.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an interesting one. Directed by a Game of Thrones alumni, Mark Mylod. Directed a lot of Thrones episodes, so got another little Thrones connection there next week for the menu. That will be next week. It's also got Ryan's. He's kind of the main guy in the menu. So Nicholas Hoult, Ray Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, good cast.
Let's go.
So excited about the menu next week. But in the meantime, we will be continuing our action movies galore project this Friday with The Raid 2011. It's an Indonesian action flick that I've heard just epic things about, so I'm very excited to discuss that this Friday. And next Monday, we will be discussing Sicario, the Denis Villeneuve film that I've heard, again, just wonderful things about. So we're doing action movies and an Anya spotlight, all in anticipation of Furiosa, which is now just a week and a half away from releasing and 2 weeks away from us discussing it. So be sure to catch that in theaters. Watch Mad Max Fury Road. We will be also covering that before that comes out, so we got a lot to look forward to. But yeah, with that, I was Colton Robertson, and I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Diana Rigg. Love Diana Rigg. Yeah. She's awesome.